You are watching the multi-awarded Radio Bandido TV on Channel 224 Sky Cable and TV Plus boxes. Simulcast on DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Informing, advising, and entertaining the Filipinos and OFWs around the world. Streaming live on www.facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. or on YouTube, channel RJAM News.
Watch and listen. Kontra Birada every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Hosted by Attorney Mike Toledo and Attorney Karen Jimeno. This program will discuss the most important and fresh news and events and feature their guest, Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo. So catch Kontra Birada on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, GMA Afforda boxes, and all DTT boxes. Facebook/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel RJAM News.
Welcome the newest...
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, sa ating mga tagapakinig at nanonood dito sa Radio Bandido, RJTV. Ito po aming programa Kontra Birada. Ako po si Atty. Mike Toledo at of course kasama po natin ang aking matalino at magandang partner na si Atty. Karen Jimeno. Atty. Karen, partner, magandang umaga sa iyo. Partner? I think kanina nag-excuse siya kasi yung aso daw niya, kailangan niya munang ilabas baka kasi sumali sa makihabilo sa atin at magsalita. So baka mamaya-maya, nilabas lang yata niya lang yung aso. So later on, nung bago tayo mag-on air, medyo pinag-usapan namin na, well, the sad news nga, no, medyo nagtaasan talaga. Nag-report ng IATF at ang DOH na mas dumadami na ang Omicron cases, 17,000, I understand. And I got a text from some cabinet members, hi partner, na baka umabot down ng 27,000. And in another week, they're expecting the number of cases to really go up, partner.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. And yes, yun ang mukhang mangyayari. What I've heard from the news is that we might be expecting another stricter classification if we achieve certain metrics in terms of hospitalization capacity and also the utilization rates. So right now we're all alert level 3, and I think a lot of other areas were added to the alert level 3 list as of today. So to everyone, I think if you can avoid going out except for essential services, and then also always observing the proper health protocols, that would really help contain this Omicron variant. But you know, Attorney Mike, something that on a positive note, something I read is that this might be a signal that the COVID virus is now waning to become just like an ordinary flu virus. So the fact that Omicron is highly transmissible but less deadly, at least according to the article I read, is a way for the virus to one, spread, but then will enable the humans to achieve herd immunity so that it doesn't become like this really the threat that it was when the pandemic started.
Tama ka, partner, no? May mga ilang experts na nagsasabi, no, mga doktor, ito yung mga experts, mga dalubhasa talaga, and specialists, no, na sinasabi nila na yung hypothesis nila ay that yung Omicron na variant ito is actually, kagaya ni sinabi mo, at the end of the day, is a good thing. Ito yung magandang development. Kasi ito daw faster spreading variant na ito ng Omicron ay would render the other variants na una, like the Delta, the Alpha, ano pa ba yun, by denying them, these other variants, the opportunity to replicate. So parang nagkakaroon ng sinisira ng Omicron yung mga variants na yun, no? So that's of course a theory and hypothesis which is shared by many, even some UK specialists. Kasi ang Omicron, for example, gaya ng sinabi mo, is hindi kasing grabe sa Delta, for example, no? Although it's more infectious, mas madali makahawa, hindi lang kasing grabe. Lalo na pa vaccinated ka, okay ka. Ang target kasi ng Omicron ay yung sa upper respiratory system, no? Which can cause cold, or sipon, ubo, sometimes yung slight fever. Pero, yun nga, lalo na pag hindi ka, pag vaksinado ka or you're vaccinated, may bakuna ka, hindi nagre-require ng hospitalization. So, and they say that after some time, the virus becomes more benign, no? And the idea there, yun nga, it will not threaten the health system. Pero, kaninang umaga naman, partner, narinig ko din si kaibigan natin, no? Isa sa mga na-interview siya sa isang channel. Ang sabi naman ng dating member siya ng IATF, ang sinabi niya yes, that's true. Maganda yan, no? And that hypothesis seems to be carrying weight and gaining traction. But at the end of the day, we still have to be careful. Kasi palagay nga natin na hindi nga nagre-require ng masyadong hospitalization, etc., etc. Pero kung masyado ring maraming ma-infect, if a lot of people become infected with this Omicron virus, ibig sabihin, sabi niya, yung percentage din ng siguro would require more serious attention will also grow. And if this also grows, it may now pose a threat doon naman po sa health system natin. Kasi sa ngayon, okay pa daw tayo. 44%, 45%. Pero pag umabot ng 75% na yan ng utilization ng hospitals, etc., ICU, delikado niya. So sabi niya, yes, okay din yon. And yun nga, sabi mo, herd immunity. Pero ingat pa rin tayo kasi nga kung marami namang ma-infect, ibig sabihin tataas naman yung mga partner, yung mga na-infect naman na serious ang tama, like the senior citizens, by comorbidities and all that. So, nandiyan pa rin tayo. It's hopefully yung unang ang mas tama, no? Hopefully talaga para matapos na to.
Yeah, and Attorney Mike, on that note, that's also something that I realized when I was talking to the midwife of my baby, because her dad, they're from Marinduque. The dad had kidney stones and has been trying to get a procedure since last year. And of course, nung try niya pumunta ng ospital, just to get the appointment took so long. So imagine, yung threat sa kanya was not even related to COVID, but because of the lack of attention to him, because kulang ng doctors, kulang ng nurses, but also because of the very limited ability to even make the appointment, kasi nagsasara din yung facilities during the nung height ng COVID. Hindi sila makakuha ng appointment. And of course, nung nag-antigen test, dahil marami siyang antibody or like yung immune system niya was compromised because of the infection, nag-positive siya. But this was antigen, not PCR test. Then ayaw siyang papasukin, and it took so long to schedule him for his real disease, which was kidney stones. So you're right. Like that's also another problem. And that's, I think, something that we should take note of, because for a lot of us, lalo na yung mga younger population, when they say that it's not really that much of a threat because Omicron has only mild symptoms, we should be considerate of how this affects other people who really need serious medical care.
Tama. Kasi pag na-overwhelm nga yung ating healthcare system or our hospitals, which I read or I saw in the news, no, some of the provincial hospitals or local hospitals are already overwhelmed, so to speak. But in general, hindi pa naman. But yun nga, if this trend continues, sabi daw ng mga taga-Okta, if this trend continues, but hope tumama pa nga naman 200,000 a day. Hopefully not, no? In terms of infection. And sa UK, si Prime Minister Boris Johnson, I think he has adopted siguro parang let it rip, let it go, and achieve herd immunity. Sige, hayaan mo. Marami na mahawa kung maghawaan. para lang ma-achieve ang herd immunity. I think that is the policy already of Boris Johnson in the UK. I understand meron na silang close to 400,000 cases a day. Malayo pa rin, no, compared to ours. And thank God for that.
Compared to US.
And the US, a million.
Yeah. And then, Attorney Mike, there was also a statement recently by President Macron of France saying that
Yes.
it's not forcing people to get vaccinated, but they are restricting vaccinated people from moving around or even going to restaurants, cafes, theaters. So I think that's a bit similar to what's happening now in the Philippines, where recently there was also a statement that vaccinated people are not allowed to go out of their homes.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I think may statement siyang sinabi na nagalit sa kanya mga opposition sa France. No? Parang he said, something to the effect, I'm trying to recall what the exact statement was, pero parang sinasabi niya, I will make life difficult for the unvaccinated. Parang gano'n ang mensahe niya. Papahirapan ko kung may mga matitigas na ulo na yan na ayaw magpabakuna. So,
Yeah.
of course, the opposition nagalit.
Oh, very interesting kasi there's this ongoing debate of how policies on vaccination should be treated. Should it be made mandatory or should we allow people to just choose? But then if you're restricting also their access to all types of services, then it's basically also mandating it. But even today, the other interesting story that I heard about was with the tennis player Djokovic,
Yes.
where his Australian visa was cancelled because one, he's still not vaccinated, but then he complied with all the other documentary requirements. But a court is reviewing that right now, and that will determine whether he will be sent back to Serbia. So all around the world, no, we're seeing a lot of these still conflicting views on how to treat vaccination. I do know some people kasi ayaw pa rin talagang magpa-vaccine, and whether it's just a personal choice or they have a scientific reason for doing so, obviously it's an ongoing debate.
Kaya nga, maraming mga sa ating mga abogado at mga policymakers, no, they're saying, partner, na etong mga ginagawang action, no, the lockdowns, for example, are actually impinging on certain civil liberties, no, mga karapatan daw, no. Ano ba daw, health first and then yung freedom pangalawa na lang. So may mga nagsasabi, yung isang think tank yata sa Berlin, no, on civil liberties, they're saying, partner, na the measures now being adopted by some countries, especially China, for example, which talagang zero COVID tolerance sila, no? But the United States, us, for example, and other parts of Europe and in Asia, baka naman daw this kind of policies can exacerbate o lalong pinapalala ang existing inequalities daw na in a society. But of course, that's a theory that, you know, na talagang it has affected the democracies throughout the world. No? The way they have come up with these policies which restricts mobility, forces you to get a vaccine, penalizes you and all that. Kaya nga, sinasabi ng ating Human Rights Commission na panayam ko, narinig ko ang aking kaibigan. I'm sure kilala mo rin, si Commissioner Gwen Pimentel, no? She was a batch younger than me in the College of Law, and isang magaling na abogado rin. I recall, sinabi niya na, yun nga, while they do understand, no, na kailangan talaga these things are really needed, and I guess it's part of the police power of the state, di ba? When it comes to health, di ba, the Supreme Court in so many cases have decided that the local government or the national government can impose under the doctrine of police power. Pero yun nga, kailangan pa rin bantayan, sabi ng Commission on Human Rights, na hindi ma-abuse at hindi gaming paraan just to trample on the rights of certain sectors or certain people. So I guess, wala namang masama, no? Kung bibigyan ng balanse, but at the end of the day, talagang ako personally, naniniwala talaga ako that government must really be forceful in certain things kasi that's the only way. That's the only way really. And I think to a large measure, the lockdowns that we had in the past, although it crippled the economy sadly and really made it very difficult for many people, including us, it was a good move. It was proven to be a good move. Dahil nakita mo ang nangyari, di ba, sa ibang Western countries na medyo mas maaga sila nag-relax na kanilang mga rules, di ba, partner?
Yeah, and well, I think noong December we saw very low cases, and personally, I think it was because of the high vaccination rate that our country was able to achieve. And, partner, we have, I don't know kung naririnig niya na tayo, but we have a guest today, si Mayor Jefferson of Tuguegarao. And
Mayor.
He's on video already, pero it would be great to hear what's going on in local governments and what mayors are doing in order to prevent this COVID from spreading further, or I guess like we're now in a pang ilang surge na ba natin to? Now, I've lost count, no? Kasi alala ko last year we had a surge around March and September, but I've already forgotten how many surges. But Mayor Jefferson, good afternoon. Can you hear us po? Okay. Well, I see him here, but siguro later we'll hear from him, Attorney Mike. But the interesting thing is, yung mga mayors ngayon, marami na ring naglipat to alert level 3, and marami na rin naman syempre nag-adjust again, mga fitness centers, theaters. Ang lungkot nga namin because we were very excited na manood ulit ng movie in a theater, but nagsara na naman. But the kids also, nakita ko noong December, they were really enjoying being out, being in the malls. And for my friends who have businesses in mga stores sa malls, sabi nila talagang nakita nila yung difference where the foot traffic increased a lot during the time that they allowed kids to go out. So I don't know how this is going to affect our growth projections, because I know the growth projections for our GDP, for the economy, have been raised again. But this was during the time that restrictions were looser. I don't know if this is going to cause another downward trajectory.
No, I'm glad you touched on the economy, partner, because I think I would like to congratulate my good friend, Governor of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Ben Jokno, for having been awarded to be the global winner as the global central bank governor. Hindi lang in Asia, but global. It was an honor given by an organization, an esteemed and respected organization. And he was named such dahil po sa kanyang pag-handle dito sa pandemic na ito. In other words, ginamit niya ang tools available, being especially on the monetary side, on the monetary side of things. He was able to come up with policies. He was very sober in his approach to the problem. He was very transparent, and not to mention yung mga initiatives niya when it comes to sustainability, using monetary tools, financial tools as well, to ensure that sustainability programs are in place. Kasi alam mo, partner, isa sa mga sinasabi nilang reason kaya siguro din nagkaroon ng ganitong klaseng pandemya is because yun nga, yung pagkakapawala na lang natin sa environment, meron din daw pong epekto po yun. Kaya I just wanted to congratulate ang kaibigan po natin si Governor Ben Jokno for a job well done, and that is why, as you pointed out, although admittedly, sadly, it's not hitting idea nga, we were supposed to be hitting double digits na talaga siguro, but because of this pandemic, it was really dragged down. Nag-contract pa nga nung last quarter, I think the third quarter by 9.5%. But when we open up, because we are a consumer-driven economy, nung naglabasan na naman ng mga tao, services-oriented, tumaas naman. Kaso ito na naman tayo. Kaya, but nonetheless, I think our government and is doing the best they can. They are doing the best they can to really strike that balance, partner. Mahirap talaga yung balance na yan. Health, economy. No? And sometimes talaga, you decide on one, decide the other, talagang babatikusin ka, ganun talaga. But that's why you're in government, di ba? Hindi naman pwede, porque binabatikos ka, atras ka na lang. You have to make a decision and stand by that decision.
Yeah, and I think by now we're into 22 years into this pandemic. We have to be more creative about the solutions that we're gonna have in terms of dealing with this pandemic. Because if we just go with the mindset of, okay, we'll just have to always lock down the economy or the economic activity, then I think that's really not sustainable, and I don't know where that's gonna take us. So
I agree.
Congratulations to Commissioner Governor Bendio.
Governor.
I'm still used to calling him secretary. The previous
He was
budget
Secretary of Budget.
Yeah. But congratulations to him, and I think the country has done really well in terms of addressing yung spending because of the reduced income for the government, and yet increased spending, and then nasabayan pa ng Typhoon Odette. So I really think that the government deserves credit for what it has done so far, and the next administration, I hope they can also do a good job, because they're gonna have to inherit a lot of problems from just all the external events that's going on and that we'll be expecting.
Tama ka, partner. You said it right. And kagaya na sinabi ni Secretary Sani Dominguez, ay isa pa rin rason kaya maganda ang takbo ng ating ekonomiya despite the pandemic and Odette, no? Because Secretary Dominguez also has been really running a tight ship, and he has been really closely coordinating with the other economic managers and of course with the president in ensuring that while we fight the pandemic, the economy somehow stays afloat. Ang sinabi ni Secretary Dominguez ay talagang yung kung sino man ang magiging pangulo sa June of this year will really inherit a huge problem because unang-una nga, we had no choice but to borrow. Diba? We had to borrow money to be able to fund this pandemic. Of course, these loans naman mostly are concessional rates. Of course, there were grants, there were donations as well, etc. Pero talagang, hindi ko na alam yung exact figures, pero in the trillions na yata yung inutang. And at the same time, syempre, pag uutang ka, you're able to pay that if your economy is moving, if your economy is humming, no? Humming well. So that means, if you want your economy to move well and hum well, that means yung restrictions on mobility, talagang mawawala dapat yan. Diba? You must allow people to work, to go to the factories, diba? You must allow businesses to operate, etc., etc., etc. Diba? So, talagang, sa tingin ko, sa aking pananaw, partner, ang kung sino man ang magiging pangulo sa darating na alala, no, is gonna be inheriting a much bigger problem than perhaps the previous presidents.
Mm-mm. Well, speaking of, ngayon kakabasa ko lang sa news that former Senator and presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos is also under isolation due to exposure to individuals who turned out to be COVID positive. And today, nag-announce na rin si Senator Ping Lacson that he's COVID positive and has informed everyone that he came in contact with so that they can take the necessary precautions. And the other person I know na nag-positive din yata is Senator Rex. I know Rex Gatchalian as well was positive. Ang dami talaga ng partner. Oo. And his brothers, Wes Gatchalian. And
sa kabinet niya?
Yeah.
We wish them well na gumaling sila kaagad na sana naman symptoms are very mild and they get well soon. Si Secretary William Dar also tested positive. Si Secretary Del Lorenzana of Defense. And then of course, as you mentioned, si Senator Lacson. In fact, tinext ko nga si Senator Lacson kanina. At pati na rin yung mga ibang kaibigan natin sa kabinete na get well soon. Secretary Duque also, I understand.
Was positive
yes.
or exposed? Kasi ngayon naalala ko na
Positive.
si Senator Win Gatchalian is just announced today
Post.
that positive. But
Oh.
I know that the three brothers, as early as Wednesday, I think, na-confirm na positive din sila.
Kaya nakakatakot, partner. May mga appointments na nga ako minsan na talaga kung pwedeng iwasan, huwag na muna. Sa amin naman kumpanya kasi, buti na lang, swerte kami in that sense na every 2 weeks required kami magpa-swab. PCR test, PCR. Every 2 weeks required. And so in a way, para bang kung every 2 weeks ay natetest ako at sa awa ng Diyos negative naman, so you could more or less assume na dun sa household mo na siguro naman negative din sila, di ba? Kasi kung negative ako.
Parang ikaw ang sample.
Parang ako yung sample. Kasi ako yung tinetest palagi kasi required ng opisina namin. And sa awa ng Diyos, I was tested nung Monday, I think, or Tuesday. And then the results came out, I think, on Wednesday. Sa awa ng Diyos, negative na naman. Kaso nga, bugbog na itong ilong ko sa throat kasi. every 2 weeks.
Attorney Mike, nung 2020, because when I was in the US, I traveled a lot between like California to Florida, and then from Florida, bumalik ulit ako ng California trying to get home. But I was testing there, and then when I got back here, I had some work-related na travel and then some personal travel also. So I kept getting PCR tests. Umabot ako ng 20 plus na PCR test. So by then, sabi nga ng dad ko rin, mukhang sanay na may kalyo na raw yung ilong ko. I think that's really key because imagine with all that travel, I never got COVID that whole time.
Thank God.
Talagang, and yun, exercising all the precautions, and then I think tama ka, the constant testing is really important. So I hope that a lot of companies follow what we've been doing, like the MVP group, in terms of, managing a big conglomerate, but making sure that you have the right protocols so that, companies, offices, they can continue operating safely for all their employees.
Ito na nga, partner, dumating na yung aming booster shot sa Moderna. So nakaschedule na yung aming mga office mates, mga empleados, mga officers, etc. na ito na, nag-upisa na yata 2 weeks ago. Moderna booster shot. So baka 2 weeks from now naka-schedule na ako. Booster.
Malakas ang Moderna. My original vaccine Moderna, and on the second dose I really got fever, chills, joint aches, like the works. And for my mom who got Moderna as the booster, same. So I thought that they would have less symptoms because it's only a booster. But again, fevers and chills. So
ganun pa rin.
Prepared.
Oo nga eh. Ready ka na uminom ng Biogesic o paracetamol. Pero problema, alam mo partner, talaga nagkakaubusan. Nagkakaubusan ng paracetamol, Biogesic, etc. Hindi naman.
And even antigen tests ngayon.
Yes.
I've been trying to get antigen tests because because of the constant testing that we want to implement in our household. But tama ka, nagkakaubusan. So I guess for everyone listening also, try not to hoard because iba yung just being prepared and having supplies if someone has symptoms at home, pero hoarding also doesn't help.
Tama ka. Yung hoarding does not help kasi kawawa din naman yung iba, lalo yung talaga nangangailangan. No, kagaya ng sabihin na natin, di ba, nung panahon nung umpisa ng pandemya, I'm talking about globally, the rich countries, di ba, well, for lack of a better term, first world countries. Yan ang old terms na ginagamit natin doon, di ba? Tayo daw, third world, sila first world, but hindi na. Tayo, emerging economies or newly industrialized countries na tayo, no? Pero let's say the more developed countries, they were really being accused of hoarding. And that's why the United Nations or COVAX came into being, no? Kasi talagang they bought so much more than what they actually need, no? Kaya tuloy na-deprive. Kaya nagkaroon ng issue yan, partner. Nagkaroon ng tinatawag na vaccine inequality. Again, nagkakaroon na naman ng gap between the rich and the poor, which is hindi naman tama. Yeah, yun ang inequality na ayaw natin.
So I think maybe it's already 12 o'clock, so we can end on this note. Maybe for LGUs, they can do that, implement like a system wherein, or DOH, that in the local governments, merong health center where all of these mga biogesic and other types of paracetamols can be accessible for people, so that yung mga hindi nga masyado makaka-afford or yung mga hindi makaka-hoard, they can have access to paracetamols, and that I think can address the inequality gap.
Thank you, partner. And on that note, kung magpapaalam na sa inyong lahat, again, thank you so much for joining us sa aming programa, Kontra Birada. At magkita-kita po tayo ulit sa Lunes, 11:30 to 12, dito pa rin sa Radyo Bandido at sa RJTV. Mag-enjoy po kayo sa weekend na ito. Stay safe, enjoy, relax. Don't let the pandemic dictate your life or enslave you, but at the same time, be very, very conscious. Sinasabi nga ng iba, magandang rule of thumb daw, partner, is like, treat yourself as if you were infected para maging careful ka. Anyway, yun lang po ang aking huling masasabi sa ating mga tagapakinig, at magandang tanghali po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, partner. Very well said, and happy weekend to everyone. We'll see you on Monday next week on Kontra Birada. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests